So every morning I wake up and I expect three things to happen. Number one, the sun to come up. Number two, the neighbor's dog to pee all over my porch. Number three, a mainstream media organization taking shots at Tesla. But even I, with my very low bar of expectations toward mainstream media, did not see this one coming. In what must be one of the worst, most embarrassing takes/interviews about Tesla, this takes the cake. This was done on Power Lunch on CNBC, and I'm happy that Dan Ives, my good friend and a very stylish man, although he is a Penn State fan, but nobody's perfect, he went on there and he absolutely obliterated this nonsense of arguments, but came down to him like a barrage of punches to the nuts on the conveyor belt of trash. But yet, why am I even talking about this when we can actually watch this whole thing and then talk about it a little bit later? Let's check it out.
Let's bring in Dan Ives, Managing Director of Equity Research with Wedbush Securities. Great to see you.
Hey, great to be here.
Very, very busy times. You don't even know which piece of this to start with, and you've been quite clear about how bad you think the strike is going to be for the big three if they get what they're demanding. Is there any way in which Tesla also comes out a loser here because its workers demand more? It tries to unionize them or something to that effect?
Sure. I mean, there's always been a fear of unions at Tesla. I just see that as basically minimal probability that's going to ever happen. I think Tesla, it's a win-win situation because when you look at the big three, what's happening here, it's a debacle in Detroit because ultimately this is going to be passed to the consumer when eventually they do get a deal. And the EV strategy, I mean, this is a gut punch to borrow Farley, what they've built over the years. And I think that's really the frustration right now in this Rubik's Cube, where I believe the UAW deal, if they took that, it would essentially impair the business models for us in the next decade.
For the big three, that is. It will impair the business model because they'll be forced to pay so much more to the workforce that they will not be able to invest in the conversion to electric vehicles?
Exactly. I mean, if they actually sign this deal, I mean, these business models, the street would basically view it as an Everest-like uphill battle to ever be successful because it's ultimately one hand tied behind their back. They're going up against non-union Tesla, non-union Rivian, foreign automakers. And that's why right now, champagne on ice has been for Tesla in terms of the pending competition that's coming out of Detroit. And that's why this UAW, it's a nightmare on Elm Street in terms of what's happened in Detroit.
Why is it that Tesla's demand has been so soft? Is it simply that they've overproduced and they can't cut prices enough because there's just no pent-up demand additionally for EVs? And there's another, but why is it?
Can we transcribe that last part with it? Okay, lady. Again, with this soft demand, I don't know where this is coming from. I keep hearing about this nonsense about the soft demand of Tesla. I think it started with Gordon L. Johnson and a few of these other Tesla haters. They picked up on that. I still don't understand where this is coming from because just a quick look on the numbers basically shows you otherwise. I'm going to show you a Twitter page of one of my favorite creators, an X page of one of my favorite creators on the platform, James Stevenson. And I'm going to present it to you right now, just the data, raw. And I'm going to let her continue her little rant here in a second. But hold on a second there. Pump the brakes on this soft demand thing. Okay, so this is from James Stevenson's page. This chart shows the exponential growth of Tesla over the past 10 years, including the current pace at which it's growing deliveries. And each number here represents the trailing 12 months. So as it stands right now, we're at 1.729. Which is a exponential growth, considering the last time we measured this 12 months ago, we were at 1.2. And before that, at 800. Before that, at 400. So where exactly is this soft demand? Is it in her purse? Is it under the desk? Where is this soft demand hiding? I just can't understand it. Now, I don't understand where these people like Gordon Johnson talk about the busted growth story. The pent-up demand is getting soft. I mean, I don't understand this stuff. I do minimal research before asking these things because I respect everybody's opinion and it's okay to disagree with me. And maybe you were bearish on Tesla and that's fine. But at least let's get the facts straight. Let's get the facts right. I mean, I would love to see some evidence of a demand problem for Tesla. I heard a lot about it. Very little evidence, but let's keep talking. Let's keep hearing rather.
that those delivery numbers and that they have so much excess inventory right now? How long is it going to take for that to be absorbed?
So we think it's really fourth quarter. I mean, if I look overall, take a step back, if you look at 1.8 million, what I believe is going to be deliveries for the year, that's a super strong number relative to the environment. I think margins trough, and Phil's talked about that as well. Q4, I think you have Cybertruck that starts production, a refresh of Model 3. And I think in China, they actually start to gain more share. That's why, in our view, this is more of what I've used a pause into the next phase of the Tesla growth story, which is why we've been telling our investors here, you continue to own this name.
How did they?
Spot on by Dan Ives, as always. Exactly as he said it. This is a pause. This is the beginning of a new growth cycle for Tesla. This ain't nothing, absolutely meaningless, slight technical miss on something that's been broadcasted, communicated, and explained to all these other analysts who simply refuse to understand that Tesla is replacing the Model 3 with the Highland. And that's literally what just happened here. But again, let's continue. It's not the first time we've seen this happen. And I'm happy that Dan Ives just put them in their place. That's super, super fun to see.
They go from not being able, a year ago, not being able to meet demand to the situation where they are right now.
Yeah,
What
I mean,
happened?
look, demand definitely softened. We've seen that in China in terms of essentially a price war that's happened in China. But I believe the poker move of cutting prices, that was the right thing. I think we've seen it in the stock in terms of stimulating demand for Tesla. But no doubt, they are definitely going through a transition in terms of what we're seeing with demand in the U.S. globally. But if you look at scale and where we believe they could get to production, we're going to be looking at next year or two a company that's going to be 2.5 million, ultimately in the 3 million, what they're going to see from a delivery as well as a production. I think this is just, Tyler, in my opinion, this is just what I'll call the middle phases of the next phase of the Tesla growth story taking place.
I wonder, though, about competing with BYD. I mean, they have more models.
Of course, I was muted the whole freaking time. So before we go through this next question, which I've seen before, and it enraged me, I had to bang on my table multiple times. So I want you to enjoy the whole thing. So that's why I paused it. Yeah, Dan Ives is on point here, 100% true. The price reductions by Tesla drove lots of sales. And you have to look at all of these sales in context of the rest of the industry. How many EVs are the other actors in the playground moving? Close to none. Not even close to Tesla. So Tesla is cutting prices, essentially putting these guys out of business. Tesla can't afford to cut prices because of high margins. But these other guys who have to match, they don't have the margins to do it. In fact, they're already losing money on every vehicle pretty much. So this price wars that's going on right now, yeah, sure, it accelerated the amount of sales. And now you don't have to wait for 4.5 months for a vehicle, sure. But it's literally putting the rest of the industry out of business while Tesla is selling more cars than ever. And they will deliver 1.8 million. As he said, 2.5 and 3 million is definitely possible. So I would even say probable. But now the next question is going to blow your mind if you're a long-term Tesla investor. Check this out. The logic here is just out of this world.
They have more models. They update them more quickly. They have more colors. You know, it's already, Chinese models are like some of the top selling vehicles in Europe already. They also have.
Did she just say they have more colors? No way. You didn't just fucking say BYD's competing with Tesla because they got more colors. Woo! I thought I heard it all. I have nothing to add to this. Let's
have what's the smaller one with the 4 letters? Anyway, it's not just BYD.
What do you mean? You can't come unprepared to this. Like you've clearly came unprepared for this, as the questions show. But I mean, you don't know the name of the company you're about to talk about. What 4 letter? We got NIO, which is 3. BYD, which is 3, which you just mentioned, have more colors than Tesla, hence it's going to win. Xpeng? That's more than 4. Li Auto? That's more than 4 or less than 4 if you just go for Li. Which 4 letter, lady? I don't understand. It's like, where's the editor of this show? Oh my goodness.
Formidable, but there's other Chinese automakers as well. And you read about these are not like, low cost, cheap businesses. BYD is like, it's like the Japan of the 2020s in terms of the impact.
I'm sorry, no disrespect, but what the hell is the Japan of the 2020s? That was 3 years ago. What? What are you talking about? I'm assuming I'm crying tears of joy. Japan of the 2020s. No, my full love to my friends from Japan. Do you know what the hell she's talking about? I don't know. It's just the Japan of 2020s.
Impact that Japanese automakers had on the market back then. So you do wonder if Tesla, even having an advantage to the big.
That was 3 years ago. Is she talking about that the late 80s? What, I don't know. Maybe.
Big three, how does it not get undercut? And if they keep the Chinese cars out of this market, maybe it'll be fine. But how does it not get undercut?
Look, this is an arms race. I mean, this is a game of Thrones that's going on. And you see what happened in China. I've seen it firsthand. BYD, NIO, Xpeng, and others. I mean, it's some of the best EVs out there. I think where Tesla has been so
Dan actually knows the name of these companies, unlike the interviewer.
successful because of their ability to expand gig in terms of Shanghai, what they've been able to do from a price perspective. And the Chinese consumer, especially in the high end or rising middle class, they do want Teslas. But to your point, do Chinese EV vehicles come here into the US? Ultimately, that actually becomes the issue because that's going to be.
What do you think will happen? If you have a second Trump administration, there will be presumably tariffs or protections against the importation of Chinese vehicles. I would guess. I don't know.
They're still on him from his first administration.
Well, yeah, they're still on it.
Yeah.
I think what's happened right now. Look what's happening out of the Beltway. Detroit Big Three. I mean, it's been gut punches from UAW, but now if you ultimately have Chinese EVs come in, that would just add to the worst. I continue to see that as a cement wall that does benefit Tesla, benefits the Big Three. But right now, they're in that cage match with the UAW, where in my opinion, that's really the frustration that's building, not just in Detroit, but across the industry.
It seems the one missing plank for Tesla would be if they had a Model 2 or some kind of lower cost mass market car that could compete against the Chinese or just make it more affordable for a lot of Americans who might be tempted to switch. But that feels like it's just way off in the distance at this.
What are you talking about? I kid you not. Like this, I have such low expectations from these guys, but even this just blows me away. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Okay, so this came out 11 hours ago. 12 hours ago. So Tesla is now offering the Model Y, not the Model 3, the Model Y base version with the EV tax credit at $36,000. So you can literally buy the Model Y right now in the US for $36,500. What are you talking about? I mean, why do you even need a Model 2 at this point? Your car's already selling at $35,000 for Model Y. I mean, and Model 2 is just going to cannibalize Model 3 at this point. It's too early for this. If Tesla would have really wanted this, they could have done it. It's no point. The Model Y is already the best-selling car in the world. It just bypassed the Corolla. Why cannibalize it with another vehicle, which is absolutely unnecessary at this point? So, yeah. By the way, shout out to Sawyer Merritt. Sawyer Merritt is killing it right now. Look at this shit. He had a CNBC interview, and they actually talked some smart things.
We've been waiting on this.
So, it's fun to see somebody who actually goes on CNBC and knows what he's talking about.
Thing for a long time. Do you have any clues as to when we may finally see a Cybertruck on the road?
You know, the Cybertruck is a revolutionary product, sort of unlike anything else, and as a result, it's a difficult product to build. But I think Q4 will finally be the quarter that we see some deliveries. And, I think the unique design is such a good rolling advertisement that Tesla hasn't even bothered to put any logos or badges on the exterior. And I think from a competitive advantage standpoint, I think the Tesla Cybertruck will have a lot of American parts content. Cars.com rates Tesla as having the 4 most American-made cars in the U.S., and that doesn't just include EVs. And the Cybertruck will be built in Texas and will probably be more American-made than any of its rivals.
And by the way, the margin on these Cybertrucks are already going to be better than any of the fucking truck EVs already in the market by the big auto manufacturers. The F-150 Lightning is one example.
Let's talk about
Thank
first
you.
off the Cybertruck, okay? Because we've been
Okay. By the way, shout out to him. What a great dude, and he definitely deserved this. Look at this thing. Again, this is from Sarah Merritt. This guy always brings the news. Jay Leno actually did this. Check it out. That's a semi. A semi towing a semi.
Now give it a little throttle.
I didn't even feel like I'm pulling anything.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
You know, we're pushing a good load back there, 60, 70,000 pounds gross vehicle weight, and you're not feeling it.
They gotta make Albuquerque by morning.
Anyways, with that, I'm going to say farewell. Thank you for joining me this morning. Wonderful Tesla day to all. I'll see you in the next video.